Your mind is powerful. But left on autopilot, it repeats what's familiar, even if it's not what you want. You wake up with goals, with good intentions, but somehow you end the day in the same place. You say, I'll change, but a week later you're back where you started. Why? Because you can't outgrow a mind that hasn't been reprogrammed. You don't need more effort. You need a new system. This video is not motivation. It's transformation. Step by step, chapter by chapter. This is your reset. This is Mental Shift Academy. Chapter 1, Why Your Mind Keeps You Stuck. Your mind isn't broken. It's just doing what it was trained to do. Keep you safe. Keep you familiar. Keep you predictable. Even if that means staying stuck. Even if it hurts. Even if it slowly destroys your potential. You don't sabotage yourself because you're weak. You do it because your system believes it's protecting you. That's why change feels dangerous. Because the brain sees new as unsafe. It's not resistance. It's survival. But survival is no longer enough. You're not here to just cope. You're here to evolve. And it starts with seeing the pattern. Noticing when you pull back. Noticing when you numb out. Noticing the voice that says, don't bother, it won't work. That voice isn't your enemy. It's an echo from the past, from fear, from habit. And now, it's time to question it. This is where reprogramming begins. Not with force, but with awareness. This is the first shift. This is Mental Shift Academy. Chapter 2, How Mental Loops Work and Why They Repeat. Your brain loves loops. It saves energy. It repeats patterns. It chooses what's already known. Why? Because what's known feels safe, even if it's not helping you. Even if it's hurting you. That's how mental loops are born. A thought, a feeling, a behavior, a reward. Over time, the loop becomes automatic. You don't even notice it. You just live it again and again. The moment something triggers discomfort, your brain grabs the old loop because it worked once. Even if it no longer fits. This is why you scroll when you're tired. Why you avoid what matters. Why you shrink back from growth. The loop says, protect, not progress. And that loop gets stronger every time you obey it, until it becomes your identity. You start saying, I'm just like that. I'm not consistent. I can't focus. I always mess up. But those are not truths. They're just old code running in the background. And here's the key. A loop loses power the moment you see it. When you name the loop, you interrupt it. When you pause, you break the rhythm. When you act differently, even once, you create a crack in the pattern. That crack is the beginning of freedom. We don't delete loops. We replace them. We override them. Gently. Intentionally. Repeatedly. This is how the mind starts to shift. And this is how the loop begins to end. Chapter 3. The Power of Awareness Over Willpower. Willpower is a muscle. It gets tired. It runs out. That's why it fails you when you need it most. Awareness doesn't run out. It expands. It deepens. It changes the game. Most people try to push through, to force, to grind, to stay disciplined through effort alone. But effort without awareness is just tension. Awareness is what allows you to pause, to see the trigger, to name the pattern, to choose again. Willpower says, fight it. Awareness says, see it. Willpower breaks under pressure. Awareness bends and adapts. The more you practice awareness, the more space you create. And in that space, you're no longer reactive. You become intentional. You feel the old emotion rise, but you don't obey it. You hear the familiar excuse, but you breathe instead. That breath is the reset. That pause is the pattern interrupt. Awareness brings you back choice. And every time you choose differently, even by 1%, you shift the entire trajectory of your day. Not by force, but by presence. We've been taught to push harder. What we need is to notice deeper. Because once you see the loop, it starts to dissolve. That is real power. Not more strength, but more consciousness. That's the shift. Chapter 4. Rewriting your identity through micro-actions. Don't become a new person overnight. You become one choice at a time. Most people wait for motivation, or clarity, or confidence. Those things come later, after action, after repetition, after evidence. You don't think your way into change. You act your way into a new identity. The mind believes what you show it, not what you promise it. So start small. So small it feels ridiculous. So small your inner critic can't even fight it. One sentence a day. One healthy choice. One honest pause before you react. That's enough. Because it's not about speed. It's about signal. Each micro-action says, I'm becoming someone different. I'm not who I was yesterday. I choose again. Your mind takes note. It updates the identity. It starts to believe you. Not because you said you'd change, but because you're living it. The old identity was built by default. This one is built by design. And like any design, it's built with intention. Detail? Consistency. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to repeat. Gently. Patiently. Daily. That's how habits become beliefs. And beliefs become identity. It's not big leaps. It's quiet moves stacked over time that rewrite who you are. One action at a time. One shift at a time. One moment of alignment. That's the blueprint. That's the transformation. Chapter 5. Daily rituals that change neural pathways. Your brain rewires through repetition. Not inspiration. Not information. But practice. What you do daily is what your brain becomes. Every small act creates or strengthens a neural path. That path becomes thought. That thought becomes feeling. That feeling becomes behavior. And the loop continues. To break that loop, you don't need a revolution. You need a ritual. A daily simple act done with awareness. Not forced. Not rushed. Just consistent. It can be 1 minute of silence. 1 page of reflection. 1 walk without distraction. 1 breath before reacting. It's not what the ritual looks like. It's what it tells your brain. It says, we do this now. We are this kind of person. This is who we are becoming. And that identity is what reprograms the system. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. We call it truth in motion. The more you repeat a pattern, the more your brain says, this is the new normal. The brain stops fighting change once change becomes familiar. So don't worry about doing it all. Just worry about doing it daily. Small, quiet, true. And when it feels like nothing is shifting, remember, wires take time. But they always respond. The brain is listening. To your action, to your alignment, to your rituals, 1 shift at a time. That's how the rewiring happens. Chapter 6. Handling fear and resistance with conscious language. Change brings fear. That's normal. That's human. But fear doesn't mean stop. It means something sacred is near. Resistance isn't a wall. It's a message. It says, this is different. This is uncertain. This might cost us comfort. And that's true. Growth always costs comfort. But here's what most people miss. The way you speak to your fear defines how you move through it. Language isn't just expression. It's programming. When you say, I'm scared, your brain tightens. When you say, this feels new, your brain opens. Words reframe reality. Not just for others, for you. So try this. Instead of, I can't do this, say, I'm learning to handle this. Instead of, this is too much, say, this is unfamiliar, but I'm safe. Instead of, I always mess up, say, I notice a pattern and I'm changing it. That small shift calms the nervous system. It gives you space. And in that space, you choose again. You are not your fear. You are the one watching it. Naming it. Moving with it. Let fear walk beside you, not ahead of you. Speak gently. Speak clearly. Speak with direction. Your words aren't just thoughts. They're tools. They're keys. Use them wisely. That's how you disarm resistance and reprogram the path forward. Chapter 7. Building a mental environment that supports growth. Your mind is like a garden. It grows what you plant and what you allow. If you feed it noise, you get confusion. If you feed it doubt, you get hesitation. If you feed it silence, you get clarity. Most people want to change, but they live in mental chaos. Constant scrolling, constant noise, constant comparison. You can't reprogram your mind while drowning in distraction. You need space, stillness, simplicity. Your environment isn't just physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's the tone of your inner world. What do you allow in your thoughts? What voices echo in your head? What do you repeat when no one is watching? This matters, because the brain listens. It shapes itself around the dominant signals. If you want to grow, you need to protect your mind like something sacred. That means limits. That means intentional input. That means curating your inner space, not to isolate, but to elevate. So choose the people you listen to. Choose the content you absorb. Choose the thoughts you repeat. Build a mental space where new beliefs can live, where silence isn't scary, where growth feels welcome, and most of all, where you feel at home with who you're becoming. That's the kind of environment that reprograms everything. Chapter 8. Integrating the shift from knowledge to embodiment. Knowing is not enough. We've all read the books, watched the videos, listened to the podcasts. But knowledge isn't transformation. It's preparation. Real change happens when the idea becomes action, when the concept becomes habit, when the shift becomes part of your body. This is embodiment. It means the truth is no longer something you say. It's something you live. You don't talk about calm. You breathe before reacting. You don't preach consistency. You show up anyway. The goal isn't to collect insights. It's to become the insight. You don't need more theory. You need more integration. Integration is messy. It means forgetting, restarting, remembering again. It means choosing again when you fall, adjusting when it gets hard, forgiving yourself without quitting. This is where most people stop. They know what to do, but they don't stay long enough to become the person who does it. You want change? Stay through the boredom. Stay through the doubt. Stay through the awkward phase when it feels fake. That's the bridge. That's where identity is rebuilt. You're not failing when it feels hard. You're integrating. And the more you return to the practice, the more natural it becomes. Until one day you realize you don't have to think about it anymore. You just are it. That's embodiment. That's the shift. Chapter 9. What happens when you commit for 30 days? Most people don't need more time. They need more consistency. We wait for clarity. We wait for motivation. We wait to feel ready. But readiness is a myth. Change doesn't wait. Growth doesn't wait. Your potential doesn't wait. Try this instead. Commit. For 30 days. No drama. No perfection. Just commitment. Every day you show up. Not because it's easy, but because you said you would. You'll miss some days. That's okay. What matters is that you return. Something shifts when you stop starting over. The first 10 days, you feel resistance, excuses, discomfort. Days 11 to 20, you'll feel doubt, boredom, the urge to quit. And then, day 21 to 30, you'll feel identity, pride, momentum. You're not just doing the thing. You're becoming the kind of person who does it. That's the gift. That's the reprogramming. It's not magic. It's repetition. It's follow-through. It's choosing to stay when it would be easier to disappear. What if just once you didn't abandon yourself? What if you finished instead of almost? 30 days. That's the challenge. That's the invitation. Not to be perfect, but to become unshakable. Commit once. Adjust as needed. But don't stop. Because after 30 days, you won't just see progress. You'll see yourself differently. And that changes everything. Chapter 10. This is not the end, it's your mental reset. If you've come this far, something in you is ready. Ready to let go of who you were. Ready to step into who you could become. Ready to stop starting over. This isn't about information. It's about transformation. And transformation begins when you decide to stay awake. You've learned to see the loops, to interrupt the stories, to replace effort with awareness, to embody who you want to be. That's not small. That's sacred. Because most people sleepwalk through their lives. They avoid the mirror. They repeat the pain. And they call it normal. But you didn't. You paused. You watched. You chose again. And now you get to continue. Not with pressure, with presence. You don't have to fix everything today. You just have to remember, you are no longer the version of you who didn't know. Now you know. Now you've seen. Now you begin. This is not the end of a video. This is the beginning of a shift. So don't rush. Let it sink. Let it become part of you. And when life pulls you back, because it will, come back here. Come back to this place. Come back to you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are reprogramming. One choice, one breath, one aligned action at a time. This is not the end. This is your reset. This is your time. This is Mental Shift Academy.